Hi, my name is Alice, and what I'm about to tell you might sound strange, but I wish I was ugly. I am what many people consider beautiful. I know that might sound a bit pretentious, but my experience has led me to believe that this is how most people perceive me to be at first glance. It all started when I was a baby. A lot of people would come up to my mom and comment on how beautiful her child looked. Of course, it seems pretty normal to compliment on a baby's appearance. After all, who doesn't love babies? But that attention did not wane over time. When I was 3, my mom was asked by a friend who works in show business if she would be willing to enter me into a children's beauty pageant. As I grew older and hit puberty, the attention I got only increased. Older boys started approaching me in the street to get to know me. Girls would say mean things about me behind my back, and one of my aunts even remarked on how I shouldn't concentrate too much on my studies since I could get by on my looks alone. When I entered high school, I developed a love of writing and studying algebra, and I excelled at sports, but nobody seemed to care at all about my interests or grades. Already, I was stereotyped as a blonde with more beauty than brains, which was far from the actual truth. All of this made me feel very distressed and anxious. I developed an insecurity about my good looks. I started to alienate myself from those around me. I became withdrawn and introverted. I changed my dressing and started wearing loose clothes, ones that wouldn't accentuate my curves or chest. Another problem with being too pretty is that people develop preconceived notions about your personality and character. Many of the boys who talked to me were only interested in my appearance, and they did not seem to care or even comprehend how smart I was, or that my hobbies were different than going to parties or hanging out late at night with friends. I was also the envy of girls in my class who would gossip about me and spread disparaging rumors that would further hurt my reputation. Due to my unsociable behavior and the way my classmates felt about me, I didn't have many close friends. And because people around me were quick to discard my interests and ambition, I too, in turn, felt that maybe I wasn't good enough to pursue my dreams. And so, I decided that since the world was so bent on treating me as nothing more than a pretty face, I would act the part and play to people's expectations of what I should be and not what I am. I started wearing skimpy clothes, and when boys tried to flirt with me, I flirted back. I began wearing makeup and lipstick. I also joined in with other girls when they would gossip. I fell behind in my studies as I would often skip class, and my grades suffered for it. Doing all of this did not make me happy. But at this point, I was so tired of trying to prove myself to others that I just thought, why bother with any of this? If this is how I will always be treated, then maybe I should act accordingly. One day in my sophomore year, I was invited to a party at one of the popular students' house. Almost every other underclassman was present. I picked out the most alluring dress I owned, and as soon as I arrived, all eyes were on me. While I did look spectacular in my new dress, it also wasn't something that I was known to wear, and so, many heads were turned in my direction. At the same time, my insecurity resurfaced, and I realized that this is not who I am. As I turned back to leave, one of the boys came up behind me and grabbed my butt. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I broke down and started crying uncontrollably. Everyone present started snickering or whispering to each other while looking at me. "Don't stare at me," I said out loud. With my eyes swollen and my body shaking, I ran out of there and drove back home. I didn't come out of my room for 3 days. After a few days, I begrudgingly went back to school, fearing what my classmates would say when they saw me after the scandal I had created. I was a bundle of nerves on my first day back, after a 3-day hiatus since the incident occurred. But I met with the school's guidance counselor, who was very gentle and receptive, and I opened up to her about my problem. I told her how it might sound egotistic or atypical to say that I was too pretty and that was the source of all my anguish. But she replied that it wasn't strange at all for me to be feeling this way. She said we could work on ways for me to be more comfortable in my own skin, and though it may take a long time, I would eventually learn to love myself as a person. Thankfully, things have gradually started looking up for me. I've gotten back to my studies and my grades have returned to how they were before. I've learned how to deal with my anxiety in a more positive way, and I no longer feel as perturbed by unwanted comments on my appearance. I even joined the literature club and the debate team so that I can gain more confidence in myself, and I've made a few friends there as well. There's still a long road ahead of me when it comes to dealing with my vulnerability and self-doubt, but for now, I am happy with the path I've chosen. What's your story? True Tales wants to hear it. If you also have any such moment, you can share it in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you liked my story. Subscribe to this channel to watch more such videos and press the bell icon for more updates.
Hi, I'm Kenny, and I'm feeling distressed. You might find my story funny, or you may get confused. My mom hid the biggest truth of her life from me for quite a long time, and it made me upset when I realized why she hid it. My life was going smooth, as any other teenager's life. A happy family, hanging out with friends, college fun, everything was going fine. Until one day, my parents came to me and said, "Son, we're getting a divorce." I was puzzled hearing this, but, well, that was my parents' decision and I accepted it. Life will go on in any situation if it's pleasant or unpleasant. My parents were reasonable, and I was sure their decision would be the best for them. But it was my right to know the reason behind them getting divorced. So I tried asking them the reason, because everything seemed to be perfect in front of me. But they still remained unclear. Well, I didn't force them. I started living with my mom, but spent half of my time at home and half at my dad's place. Normally on the weekends. This continued for some time, and then one day, I noticed something strange when I returned home after a long weekend. There was 2 empty coffee mugs in the kitchen sink, someone's sunglasses lying on the couch, and even a toothbrush in the bathroom. My mom removed it quickly, thinking I hadn't noticed anything, but I had. Usually, when 2 people get divorced, they spend some time thinking it all over and feel very sad. I thought to discuss this with my dad, but when I did, he still remained unclear. I was shocked by his behavior because in my whole life I saw him showing transparency. Now my urge to know the reality got stronger. I was irritated with my parents' behavior and I went back home. I entered the living room and saw my mom along with another woman on the couch watching a film. I greeted them casually and went towards my bedroom, lost in my thoughts. Then I stopped for a minute and saw them holding hands, and she was wearing a nightsuit, which meant she was sleeping there. Immediately, my mom came to me and asked how come I came home even though the weekend hadn't been over yet. I didn't bother answering, and instead directly asked her, "Mom, who is she?" "Oh, she's my friend Ruby who came to visit me." And that's when I interrupted her, as I hate lies and the people who tell them. "Your friend? She visited you in her nightsuit." My mom was embarrassed. Then she sighed and sat down on a chair and said, "Okay, son, listen." I was boiling with anger and I directly questioned her. "Oh, come on, Mom, cut the crap. You really can't answer straight away that she's your girlfriend?" My mom's face seemed confused, yet embarrassed and relieved too. Well, finally, she accepted that she's her girlfriend. And just because it would have been hard for me to take it, she hid it from me. Now I finally got the reason behind my parents' breakup. My mom fell in love with Ruby, and the only solution she found was divorce. She felt that I wouldn't understand this and hate her for it, so she begged my dad not to tell me anything. I told her to live her life the way she wants. My mom introduced me to Ruby, and then she started spending lots of time with us. Ruby is a very nice woman, and now they're living a normal life. But I feel bad for my dad. But these things happen in life. No one can avoid it. Friends, if you think you've done something which embarrassed you and you hid it from your family, then better to confess it. Hiding any truth kills people emotionally. If you guys have had a similar experience, you can share it in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you liked my story, and subscribe to this channel to watch more videos just like this in the future.
Hey there, my name is Nancy. Well, most people out there would have kissed someone and their partner would have still supported them. However, in my own case, it's a different story than you all. There was a boy named Michael, and everyone in the high school felt delighted to see him anytime. And I also felt the same thing. On that day, it was his birthday, and all the girls from the high school wished him a happy birthday. I wished him, though. He had thrown his birthday party that night and had invited all the guys and girls of high school. That same day, I was searching for a book in the library and he came over to me and asked if I had any plans for that night. I said no, without hesitation, and he asked if I could join his birthday party. At that moment, I was feeling on top of the world that the most adorable guy asked me to join his birthday party. But without showing my emotions to him, I just said, "Yes, sure, that sounds good." After school that day, I literally ran all the way home to find the best outfit to wear for that special night. I removed all my clothes from my wardrobe, took an hour to decide what attire to wear. Finally, I wore a sexy black dress and rushed to the party. As I reached the destination, I found the party to be well organized with all my high school classmates dancing on the dance floor. Few were partying on the bar, but I was yet to see Michael anywhere. So I went to the bar, got a glass of mojito, and settled down on the couch beside the bar. I was just chilling out when Michael came up to me and asked for help. He had cut his thumb and wanted help in finding first aid box. I felt maybe he wants to spend time with me because he was taking me away from the party. I was highly strung and also excited. With this feeling, I went along with my crush. We reached his room and started searching for first aid box everywhere. We searched in the wardrobe, a small cabinet, a side table, drawer, etc., but could not find it. Lost in the thought of a first aid box, we both were walking back from the opposite direction and collide with each other. We both fell onto the floor and started laughing. We started talking to each other and got to know each other better. We were having a lot of fun and I was getting infatuated on him more than before. I felt that even he had also started liking me. I pondered on the thought that we actually came here in search of the first aid box, and then we were sitting and talking for so long. I was getting loving vibes from Michael, and suddenly he started leaning toward me as if leaning in for a kiss. Without giving it a thought, I just grabbed him and kissed him on the lips. I was actually kissing my crush for real, and it was amazing. And suddenly, Michael pushed me away and said, "Hey, have you lost?" I was so embarrassed and confused. I told him, stammering, well, you leaned in for a kiss, right? Oh, no, that was a wrong assumption. He pointed behind me to reveal that the first aid box was lying under the chair behind me. He was reaching for the first aid box. It was so awkward and embarrassing for me. My ears were waiting to hear that he enjoyed it, but there was just silence. I didn't know what to do, so I ran out of the party, out of the house, and started whining. It had gone from so stupendous to such an unsuccessful love story. If you also have such experiences in the past, you can share it in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you liked my story, and subscribe to this channel to watch more of such videos.
Hey all, my name is Sarah, and I am 27 years old. I work as a business analyst in an IT company. At the company's annual conference, I got introduced to Godwin. Yes, I was fascinated by him, but I didn't think about it because he lived in another city, and a long-distance relationship was something that has never worked out for me. Just a few months later, we met again, and this time, we were both selected for the same project and would work in my office for 3 weeks. We both were good at work, and our bonding was going great. We both had an exciting time working together on the same project. After a few days, even before I opened my laptop, he was at my desk. It was then that I first felt that he too was attracted to me. Then we started having coffee together, and also went to dinner after work. Not too long enough, we had gotten infatuated towards each other. We went for a road trip on the weekend, and that's when we got physically attracted. We both ended up falling in love with each other, and we formally started dating one another. My life seemed to be delighted because I had the perfect job and amazing new boyfriend. Even though I knew that he would soon leave for his hometown, but somehow I was convinced we could sustain a long-distance relationship very well. And then, a few days before he was scheduled to fly out, he revealed his biggest truth that he had hidden until now. I became aware that he has been married for 2 years. Although Godwin wasn't happy in his marriage, I was left wrecked and felt completely cheated. How could he hide such a big thing away from me? He being married made me crazy, and I had to end everything with him. His project came to an end, and he returned to his hometown. I went back to my usual pattern of working day and night, putting in all my focus on work, as I tried hard to forget all the wonderful moments shared with him. A few days later, he called me. I didn't want to speak to him, but the moment I heard his voice, I could tell he was very drunk. So I didn't disconnect the call. He told me why he hadn't mentioned his marital status. He thought I wouldn't be interested in him if I knew he was married. I have to admit, that was the truth. Honestly, I didn't want to start anything new again with him. He was married. He was another woman's husband, and I was just the other woman. Still, I somehow found a reason to give our relationship another chance. He told me that soon he will give divorce to his wife, and I believed him. I was skeptical, and there are examples of men who have lied about leaving their wives and never did. But I was blinded by my feelings for him, and my love for him was infinite, and I couldn't stop myself going towards him. Now the extramarital affair started. He would lie to his wife about work trips and visit me, and every time he would visit, it was such a special moment. I would never fail to ask him the question of when he would leave his wife. But all he did was to make excuses upon excuses. I didn't want our relationship to be hidden. I hadn't introduced him to my friends or family, and that bothered me so much. Things went on the same way for a year. He kept on with lying to his wife, just come to see and meet me occasionally. Gradually, I started getting used to the habit of staying without him. That when he wasn't around, I would be busy working. It got to the extent that I had almost forgotten that I was in an extramarital relationship with someone. Then, after a few months, I started feeling that it doesn't bother me so much if Godwin is not around. Even when I call him someday, he remains busy and never answers my call. Most of the time, I really needed someone very close to me. He wasn't there at such times. That was the time I met Alan. He had just joined the company where I was working and was interested in me. He wasn't married, so no sooner I started liking him and we started dating. I thought, if he could have a wife, why couldn't I have another boyfriend without telling him? Days passed on and my relationship with Alan was going very smooth. Godwin existence or inexistence didn't bother me so much because I knew what I wanted. I dumped Godwin and decided to spend my entire life with Alan.